Hello everyone, my name is Mathieu Arnal. I'm working at the Institut de l'Élevage in Toulouse. I will present you a work started in my PhD. I work with Vincent Ducrot, Isabelle Pallière, Marjorie Chassier, Christelle Robert-Granier, and Hélène Larocque. We developed a genomic test day model and we studied the correlation with robustness trait in French dairy goats. Here in black, I represented the mean curve of our population, and I represented in green a more persistent curve. At the end of the lactation, the two curves result in the same quantity of milk for the lactation, but the more persistent goats have a reduced production at the peak and produce more at the end of the lactation. We were interested by the shape of the lactation curve for two main reasons. And the first one was for the production at the peak of the lactation. Indeed, based on dairy cow literature, a goat with a reduced production at the peak should have a better negative energy balance, which is associated with a better health. The second main reason was for the distribution of production during the year. As you can see here, most of the goats are killing at the beginning of the year, so the production is not well distributed. With an average lactation curve more persistent, we should have a better distribution during the year. Currently, we are selecting goats based on their total amount of milk produced per lactation. We are not taking into account the lactation curve shape. It can be seen as the area under the curve. As a phenotype, we are using the production by lactation for 250 days corrected by a herd here effect plus different environmental factors plus a genetic and a permanent environment common for all the parities and then a residual term. Since 2018, we are using a genomic evaluation with a single-step GBLUP based on a 50K sheep. Because of our interest in the genetic capacity of an animal to be more persistent, we decided to develop a random regression model. This model uses as a phenotype directly each milk test day. They are corrected by a herd test day effect plus different environmental factors modeled according to the day in milk, plus a genetic effect and a permanent effect, also modeled according to the day in milk, and finally a residual term. Here, the genetic and permanent environmental effect are modeled separately for the first three parities. By an eigenvalue decomposition of the variance-covariance matrix, we resume the evolution of the genetic with two terms, the level of milk produced in the lactation, and the second one representing the persistency. The advantage of this decomposition is to have the level of production genetically decorrelated to the persistency. So for each individual, instead of having one value as the previous model, we have 6 values, and it was the same thing for the permanent environment. We wanted to evaluate the prediction capacities of our random regression model for the level of milk yield throughout the lactation compared to the classical model used today. We did a cross-validation comparing the EBVs of bucks without their dorsal with their dorsal yield deviation. Without genomic information, here, with the lactational model and with the random regression model, we had quite the same correlation, close to 0.3. And when we added the genomic information with a single-step GBLUP, the correlation increased as expected. However, there was no difference between the two models. Here I present you the heritabilities for the level of milk yield for the first 3 lactation. They are close to 0.3, as we had already with the classical lactation model. For persistency, the irritabilities were smaller than the level. The persistency irritability was around 0.15. They were a little bit higher in the third lactation compared to the first one. With the classical lactation model, genetic correlation was supposed to be equal to 1. But with the random regression model that we have developed, we could estimate them. For the level, the correlation between the first parity and the second one was equal to 0.83, but between the first and the third lactation, they were smaller than 0.7. However, they were equal to 0.985 between the third and the second one. For the persistency, the correlation were smaller than for the level. Indeed, the correlation between the first and the second lactation was equal to 0.62. The correlation between the first and the third lactation was only equal to 0.42. And finally, as for the level, the correlation between the second and the third lactation was equal to 0.91. We studied the correlation between the EBVs from our model with the EBVs for the artificial insemination fertility. For this EBV, we have only one value for the animal carrier. The correlation between the EBV for the capacity to produce in first parity and the artificial insemination fertility EBV was negative as for the other parities. It was the same pattern for the persistency. The correlation with the first parity were higher than those obtained in the second or the third lactation. We suspect a compromise between fertility, production, and growth in the first parity bigger than in the third one. Then we studied the correlation between the EBVs from our model with the longevity EBV. The correlation between the longevity and the capacity to produce milk in the first parity for the level was quite high and equal to minus 0.46. The correlation was more reduced for the second parity and became positive in the third one, equal to plus 0.12. For the persistency, the correlation was a little bit negative in the first parity, equal to minus 10, and became positive in the second one and equal to plus 0.35 in the third one. It is possible to reduce the variance-covariance matrix of the levels by eigenvalue decomposition. The first component, which represents 19% of the original variance, represents the level for the three parities, which is interesting to combine these three elementary EBVs in just one. As we can see, the first parity has a smaller impact than the second and the third one. The second component represents 9% of the original variance, and it represents the difference of production between the first and the third parity. As we can see, it put a negative weight for the first lactation, a null weight for the second parity, and a positive weight for the third parity. This difference of production is called here the maturity. When we looked at the correlation between these two new components with the longevity, we had a correlation close to zero between the level for the three parities and the longevity, but we had a high correlation between the maturity and the longevity equal to 0.62. As a conclusion, we have seen that a single-step GBLUP with a random regression model is possible in our population with results similar to the current evaluation. We have seen that it is possible to select on persistency independently from production level. we reported a negative correlation between artificial insemination fertility EBVs and level and persistency EBVs. We saw a negative correlation between longevity EBV and primiparious level and persistency EBVs, but a positive one with multiparious EBVs. And finally, we have seen that the change in genetic value between the first and third lactation measures the maturity, and that is genetically linked to longevity. Thank you for your attention.